Jeremy Laidler's been in the news a little bit this week. Did you notice it on the day, and what's your thoughts on it subsequently?
No, we didn't notice it, and we certainly didn't bring it to anyone's attention either. But yeah, my thoughts on it. Well, runners sometimes have a hard time getting on. Coaches, we give them multiple messages, so they get a spray if they don't give all those messages. So I can understand why he was out there. But I think what it does do is probably give the AFL the ammunition they've been looking for to reduce the use of runners. I'm sure all coaches like having the runner there to be able to utilise them to get messages out there, but I think there's been a clear indication from the AFL that they'd like to reduce the impact that the runner has out on the ground, and that probably gives them a bit more ammunition. But it's not something we as a club are concerned about.
You don't think he was trying to block up space?
I don't know. I think he's the only one who can answer that.
So you're expecting perhaps the changes along the lines of what was in the JLT series?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to expect, and again, I'm in a bit of a tough position because I've got access to information that's really not for the public domain at this stage, but it's fair to say there's a fair bit of discussion about it. So when there's ammunition like that for the AFL to use, it becomes hard to argue against.
Did you have a strong view about it going into before you joined the committee?
No, I think that I do have a view that there are too many officials on the ground at various stages, and because we have access to different camera angles which show the entire ground, it's amazing how many non-footballers are running around on the ground at different stages. So, yeah, I think there's got to be, we've got to have a look at reducing the number of officials on the ground. But again, as a coach, I like using the runner, as all coaches do.
Starting positions have been a big talk again. Nathan Buckley said it might be a blight on the game. Do you think it would have that big an effect?
I don't know because it's unknown, but I think that we've got an obligation to look at ways to create more one-on-one contests and reduce congestion and reduce the ability of teams to block up forward space. So all those things are being looked at, and I just applaud the AFL for looking at it. I'm reserving my judgment until I've got all the information.
Steve Hocking's made it pretty clear that there's going to be multiple changes next year. Is that dangerous, introducing so many at one time?
No, I think my discussions with Steve, it's more complementary changes. I think when you talk about multiple changes, it insinuates that there are just going to be this mass change to the look of the game. From what I've seen so far, I think there's enough evidence to say that a couple of complementary changes would be very hard for the football fan to actually discern from their seats in the stands. And that's what we don't want to see the game look completely different to what it looks like right now, but we do want to see the ball in transition a bit more, and we do want to see a little bit less congestion.
Your game was pretty exciting on the weekend. Do you think that it's been a problem with any of your games particularly?
Not really. I think we played some, but we like to play a style of footy that I always say is capable of beating the best teams, and my belief is that to beat the best teams consistently, you have to be able to score against them. Now, one thing we've been able to really dramatically improve this year is our ability to also defend against the best teams. So, yeah, I think one of the biggest risks to opening up congestion and reducing coaches' ability to congest the game is it makes the bottom team's job a fair bit harder, because when you even things up and open up the game, the top teams can really dominate the bottom team. So, that's something that has certainly been raised, that if you reduce congestion, you potentially increase blowouts, and that could then lead to another so-called blight on the game.
So pre-season long enough to adjust to any of these sort of changes, Brad?
Yeah, plenty of time. Yeah, I mean, we could, with all fairness, I mean, the rules that they've been talking about at the moment, we could adjust for them next week if we had to.
When you reviewed Sunday, was it an opportunity loss? 7 points up, 4 minutes to go. Do you feel that was the case?
Oh, it's always an opportunity loss when you lose a close game and you put yourself in a position to win it. But as I said post-game, I mean, I thought we didn't do too much wrong in that last 4 minutes. Sydney just kept pushing, and we were unable to capitalise on our opportunities. But in terms of structurally, it was all okay. Some technical things we'd like to do a bit better. But I was really proud of the guys, the way they kept fighting and the opportunity we gave ourselves against a quality opposition.
Ben Jacobs, Brad, what's the latest on his situation?
It's probably similar to what it's been, in that we just keep monitoring his symptoms day by day. I can report that he's feeling good today, and he'll do some work out in the track today, and it's all important how he pulls up from that. But it's just so difficult to ascertain an exact diagnosis because we've got to treat him symptomatically, and that changes sometimes day to day.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're in a tough situation that again we've got to name a team tomorrow, and I really don't like naming a team that we potentially have to change, but we really have no option. If we think he's, a good chance of playing, we'll name him.
Is it becoming a concern? Do you need to get further assessment done, or?
Yeah, it's been done. Ben's, I think he's up to specialist number 5 at the moment, and that's not because we don't trust the initial specialist. It's just that we're looking to cover all bases and get all opinions.
So Mason Wood a chance this week?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's recovered really well, and as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we thought it was when he initially hurt his hamstring that it might be a sort of a lengthy period on the sidelines, but he's recovered really well, and he's done a fair bit of work. Had a really big session on the weekend, big session again earlier this week, and we'll train again today. So, provided he gets through training today, I think he's a good chance.
Just one more on Ben. What's the sort of main limitation for him at the moment? Like, is he struggling with ball work and that sort of thing, or?
No, he's not. It's more just the symptomatic issues that are linked to neck issues and concussion issues, and he's had a bit of a dull headache for a while, and in his words, he's just previously has been feeling not quite right, and when he tells the doctor that he feels not quite right, it's just not the right thing to do to put him out in a full contact sport.
How's Kane Turner tracking for this week?
Yeah, he's pulled up really well. I mean, my initial report from the doctors on Sunday was that he was back to baseline levels. So again, he assessed pretty well on the day, to be honest, but the vision didn't look good. So based on the vision, the doctor ruled him out. And that's fair enough. But his recovery on Sunday suggests that he'll be fine and he'll train fully today. And provided again he doesn't have any symptoms tomorrow, he'll play.
Some of the non-Victorian clubs have been talking about lack of opportunities at the MCG. This is only your second game there this year. Does that seem a bit wrong for a Melbourne club?
Not really. I mean, we love playing at the MCG. It's obviously still the premier venue in AFL footy, and it's where the grand finals played, and so we love going there. But we also love playing at Blundstone Arena in Hobart, and we love playing at our home ground at Etihad Stadium too. So, we'd love an even spread across all three, but I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, the teams, non-Victorian teams, also play 12 games in their home state too. So you can't have 12 games in your home state and 8 games at the MCG.
How encouraging, Brad, has Paul Ahern's recent form been, especially his ability to go into the middle at times?
Yeah, he's been great. He's exceeded our expectations. We started the year thinking that he'd need at least half the year in the VFL to get his confidence back in his own body. But he demanded selection halfway through the year and has come in and performed really, really well. So it's hard for us not to think too far into the future and in terms of what his footy will look like after a couple of really solid pre-seasons.
Can you stretch Collingwood a bit with Brown and Dorr and possibly Wood comes back?
Yeah, well, I think Wood's probably the one that could potentially give us another marking option up there, and they've obviously had some pretty well documented issues with injury back. But Darcy Moore is a rare talent, and he came back in and performed well last week. So that trying to stretch them is an option, but we also want to be able to pressure them in our forward half as well. So we've got to have a look at how everyone trains today. But Madjack's been primarily played down back for us this year, and there's a good chance that with Mason Cox coming back in, that maybe Madjack goes back as well.
How much does he change their structure, and how much does it change your planning, Mason Cox, whether he plays or not?
Well, we can only assume that he's going to play. But we'll pick a side that's flexible enough, and we're fortunate that we've got talls at both ends to be able to mix and match based on that. But Collingwood have shown this year that a lot of people probably thought if Darcy Moore goes back that maybe they don't have the key forward options, but De Goey and Stevenson and Myercheck, and they've got a variety of options that can go through there. So as well as their much talented midfielders, Sidebottom and those guys who can go forward. So they've been able to kick winning scores enough this year, so I don't think much will change for them, whether Cox is in or not.
They've been in obviously very good form, barring last week. What do you think are the keys for you guys to sort of get over them? They've got quality players on every line. I think they've manufactured a way to score really well in their forward half, and
Pendlebury and Sidebottom and Taylor Adams and Brodie Grundy, lead their midfield. Now their midfield depth's been tested a little bit, but at the start of the year, look at, Collingwood probably had the deepest midfield of any team in the competition. So more than any other team, they can cover a couple of key injuries in there.
Davies Uniacke's had to bide his time in the VFL, Brad, but seemed to really make the most of his chance last week.
Yeah, it looked like a quality AFL player last week, strong in the contest. And to be honest, did some things that we saw on a regular basis throughout his junior career. So yeah, really pleasing. But I mean, and Luke's a big kid. I mean, he's very tall. He's strong over the ball. So we've known the things that he can do really well. But having a VFL team this year has really helped us to be able to go back and fine tune some things at the second tier level, and then bring him back in when he's ready. And he's certainly ready to take another step.
Obviously, you guys don't like looking at the ladder too much, but does it feel like a real make or break game in the context of your season to sort of pump you up a bit?
Yeah, I don't think make or break's right, but it's important. Yeah, I mean, last week was important too. We're disappointed to miss the opportunity that we created for ourselves, and our focus is just on trying to create another opportunity this week. My focus has always been on trying to play footy that's capable of beating the best teams when it matters. And if we can do that, and we can prove in the next 6 weeks that we can beat the best team when it matters, then I think we can go into September with confidence. But there's no point sneaking into September playing poor footy, because you just get bundled out pretty quickly.